Good day, everyone, and welcome to Inspiring Hope, a show that shines the light on amazing people who are making a difference in our world. I'm Lois Hermann, your host, and today I'm joined by Laurie Wheeler, a transformational alchemist who guides people on spiritual quests, both physical and metaphorical. And welcome, Laurie. And
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Lois. It's really a pleasure to be here.
well, tell me, what was your most amazing quest or adventure that you ever experienced?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow, that's a hard question. They've all been very special in their own way, but I think it has a lot to do with what you're seeking as to what you're going to get out of something. And, at different times in my life, I've had many different experiences throughout the globe, and I've lived in many places as well. But I want to say what I consider tops on my baby book. I had this experience, and it came at a very special time in my life, which really opened me even more to what I'm doing in my world, my mission to be here. So I was in Peru, and I had brought a retreat, a tour there, and we were in Meru, which is at the border, and we had done some hiking and such, and we came to this a sort of gorge in a way. And in Peru they use the coca leaves in threes, and it's the triune and such, and you use them in everything you're going to do. This is sort of your blessings with Pachamama, Mother Earth. So we were standing in one little spot, and everybody was in a line, and you were to ask what it is that you wanted to receive before going over to this other area. And I just couldn't think of anything. Nothing would really come to my mind. So I thought, I'm just going to ask for love and light. Okay. Because that's sort of a good, what I'll say, catch all. And yeah, who doesn't want some love and light, right? So I put in my coca leaves. That's what I asked for. And then I went over to this, megalithic rock structure. And like many places throughout the globe, the rocks are so close together, you can't put a slice of paper through it, right? So we know it was put there. When you stand way back, it looks like a woman on her side. So it's very important to have this. This is a portal. And so standing in front of it, you can see, and it's on my website. There are three different portals, and two of them are like curved in, into the rock formation. And then the other one kind of goes like this, not exactly a rectangle. It's more just down like this. So you stand in one, and then you stand in another. When I got to the second one and you face inward, I felt myself starting to dematerialize, which I'm not going to even tell you. I never had that experience before. I've never really had it like that again, but it was the most kind of uncomfortable and yet exhilarating at the same time. But you don't know what's on the other side of what that experience is, right? So I kind of pulled back, and then I went to the middle doorway, which is, I guess the whole rock formation is the portal, but one, then the other, and then the middle. And in the middle, right about where your head goes, there's this little curvature where you put your third eye. And standing in the middle like this, the portal opened. Now, there's 30 something people with us, and I checked with them. Nobody else quite had this experience. We were all kind of like, what did everybody get, or what did they feel? So I'm standing there, the portal opened. To me, it opened, and I could see three light beings standing, right there in the doorway. And they asked me if I wanted to go with them. I'm like so taken back. I didn't even know what to answer. And my first reaction was, well, maybe not right now because I have a lot of work yet I want to do. And so I'm here for a good reason, and I'm going to finish that out. And thank you so very much for the offer, because who knows what was on the other side of that, right? So then they gave me this experience like I've never experienced before anything. I mean, this portal is so magnificent and so it's huge energy, and I could feel myself like become one with everything. And not that I haven't had that before, but not in this way.
Right.
And what happened was I just started to cry, but it was not a sad cry or it was not an emptying cry. It was a cry that I was knowing in my fullest embodiment of who I really am. That was the gift that was in parallel to what I had asked before, love and light, right? So I got exactly what I asked for, and that is on the tops of my baby book. Now I think that was back in maybe '08, but each trip is so magnificent. So much happens. We just came back from Egypt in November. We were there on 11/11. We were in the King's Chamber on 11/11, and we actually got to get into the sarcophagus, and I was holding space for everyone. And as I was, Thoth showed up and opened up a portal. So, we know the pyramids, um, Giza is really a magnificent, huge portal right now going on. It's activated. There's more information coming through all the time. I mean, it's a great place, and we're going back in October again. So I don't know what to say about that question.
I think you said a lot. What an amazing experience. Wow. And it all was based on your intention. It was a pure intention.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So you take people on these spiritual quests or adventure tours. Now, where all have you gone? You've been to
Wow.
Peru, Egypt. Where
Yep.
where
Um,
are the other magical
so
places?
Yeah, well, and they're all different in their own way. And
Sure,
again, that's like what depends on what you're seeking, really,
sure.
and sort of what time in your life, where you are in your life. So we've been to Hawaii, and actually I lived in Hawaii for a while. And those islands, they're very magical. They're very high spirit. And if you are at all connected to Lemuria,
Mhm.
like myself, it just draws you. It draws you.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. You know what I'm saying. And so let's see, Hawaii and Mount Shasta. I did a retreat there. I brought some folks a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, something like that. It was before the pandemic, and we went to the different portals, and each one again different. But when we got to Telos, which was one of the portals there, the gatekeeper of the portal came above and started to speak to me, and started to explain some things about what we're doing in our world right now, what's happening. And that was I want to say that was a real special treat for that experience. Let's see, where else? Gosh. So let's see, 23, we also went over to Glastonbury. We hit the seven chakras of Glastonbury. Glastonbury it's the heart chakra of the earth. And right now it is one of the three massive stargates that are open. So there's all kinds of interaction with the celestials and the interdimensionals. And so we did that in 23, and then we went over to south of France to follow the Magdalene footpath
Oh
because
yeah.
they're really connected.
Sure.
Um, and so it was a beautiful retreat, and there are so many codes over in south of France, in the basilicas and such, and they're all there for us to learn the real truth, about the divine masculine and feminine that Yeshua, Jesus, and Mary Magdalene bring forward, and what's going on over there and how they lived out their life there and such. And so this July we go back to Glastonbury, and we're going to, oh my goodness, we're going to go to Avebury, the serpent stones. We're going to go do crop circles. We're going to do some of the chakras and go up to the tour, which is the opening there of the Stargate. We're going to go up through Wales as well and spend several days. And I have a guide who I've known for a couple years now, and he is from Wales, and he just knows that land super well. And he's going to bring us to the fairies and the elementals, and we're going to do some shamanic journeying, and
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, it's magical. That's what it is because you
this is
never know what's going to happen.
that's the Avalon tour, right?
Yes, that's the Avalon. Yes, and it's on my website.
Yeah.
We have room for a couple more people at this point. So,
Oh, I would love to go with you on all of them. I've done a lot of travel in my day. However, it was before my true spiritual awakening. I was in Egypt back in the 70s. I loved it. It was fascinating. I would love to go back now that I know what I know. And I lived in Europe for 6 years, so did extensive travel. However, it was more from a tourist perspective and a learning perspective, which was truly amazing for where I was at that time in my personal evolution. And one of my most poignant awakenings was in Kyoto. I used to travel on business. I worked for Hewlett Packard and would travel on business. And my typical attitude was when I would get someplace on business, I would give myself a day in advance to acclimate to the time change, to the weather, to the whole attitude of the place. And I would find a way to experience something because I may never be back. And
mm,
so I was at the temple in Kyoto, which was at Deer Park, Nara, the Deer Park, and the deer would come and eat out of your hands. It was just beautiful. It was the day of a children's festival. So there were all
oh,
these children in groups with their teacher. The teacher would have a blue flag, and all the children would have blue beanies, and then another one would have a yellow flag and yellow beanies and red. And so all these children, there was a sea of children. Now, at the time, this was in the mid 90s, and I had lovely permed red hair. So I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. And the children would come running up to me, giggle, giggle, and laugh. And how old are you? They were practicing their English, and it was just magnificent. And I'm standing in front of this big temple in Kyoto, and I hear this booming voice
mm,
say, "Take care of my children."
oh,
And I looked around, and I'm like, "Where did that come from? What's just hearing things?" I ignored it. And I heard it louder, "Take care of my children." And I turned around, and there was that huge statue of Buddha right behind me. And that really started my quest for what is my purpose. I had just gotten my Reiki master attunement, so I was purely open. And that was a very magical, magical moment for me. So when we travel to these places with an open heart and pure intent, and we're surrounded by uplifted people, we have
mhm.
these opportunities for these magical occurrences. And that's what makes the travel all the more special, endearing, and allows us to connect. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It truly is the magic that happens because, and the manifestation as
yeah,
well, because, you're just putting your energy, but not looking for very specifically anything to come about. You're just there.
right.
You're in the moment. We're the mastery of ourselves at that point because the energies are so very high. And so, yeah, that's when I think the greatest things kind of come in, like what I call the back door. When you're looking this way forward, in comes this, and you think, oh my gosh, how fortunate am I? Right place, right moment, all aligned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was talking about love and light. I was in that place of just in the moment enjoying the beauty of these children. And there was just this sense of pure love, innocence, pure innocent love that coming from them as they were trying to practice their English with this obviously not Japanese looking, although I was born in Japan, so I identify with the Japanese, but I decidedly didn't look it. But it was just this it's one of those memories that will stay with me for a lifetime.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting how those special moments, those snapshots, they're there and you'll never lose that. Never. That's really special. Wow, what an amazing experience.
And, to
Yeah.
your point, it wasn't anything that I was contrived or that I forced. This is the beauty of being on a spiritual path and doing your work to keep yourself pure and clean and your intention pure and your vibrational frequency up. We don't have to go after a spiritual experience. They just show up at the right time when you are ready. And it sounds like both situations, you didn't know specifically what to ask for. You were just open to what spirit would give you, and yet spirit knew that you were ready for this. Rats, I wonder what it would have been like had you gone with them. Have you ever thought of that?
Oh, I have thought of it many times. And maybe if it were to ever happen again, and I don't know if I'll ever be there in that place again, I would probably say yes this time,
Yeah.
just because I think I'm much more maybe adventurous
Mhm.
and open to different experience like that. Whereas maybe at that time I still felt like, oh, I have so much more. Not that I don't today, but a different feeling, having been in many places and understanding now that traveling, time traveling or into another timeline is not always what we really think it, is. Your whole physical being doesn't have to get up and go.
Right.
Um, and with these special places, they can open up these opportunities. It reminds me, as we're talking for a minute, I'll just share that gosh, I more places that I've actually been in Sedona, but another place that I was in, which I don't know how many people have really been here, is Blind Frog Ranch in Utah, which is right next to Skinwalker Ranch, which many people have heard of. And so Skinwalker Ranch, it's highly paranormal activity there, probably one of the most places in the US. And so, I don't think the spirits really know the boundary line of somebody owns this and somebody owns this. They're just there.
Mhm.
And we were actually doing a shamanic journey in one of these sort of like little cave-like areas on Blind Frog. Dwayne Ollinger is the person who owns it, and he's got a program on Discovery Channel. We happen to know him pretty well, like family. And so he invited us up. We were doing a shamanic journey there. And when we were finished, we kind of dispersed for a little bit, just having some time to ourselves. And I went up the hill a little to just sit and do some toning. And when I was there, these little gold beings uncloaked themselves, big spaceship in the sky with beaming light coming down, and I could see the beings coming through the light into the earth, right?
Wow.
So I'm sitting there watching this, just watching it, just, that's it, observing. And one of them comes up, maybe about, oh, no more than 10 feet away from me, and looks at me and heard me telepathically, right? And said to me, we are as curious about you as you are about us.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, he heard me, it heard me, right? And then it began to give me this symbol. And it said to me, this symbol is universal. And I thought, it's universal. Wow, what is this? And it began to show me what this symbol was. And then it said to me, so the way you're looking at it is not the way it's to be utilized. You are to put it into a dimensional form and step into that dimension and use it. And I thought, wow,
Like
okay,
a transport? It would be like you
yes,
could transport between dimensions in it. Wow.
yes. Well, actually going out of this dimension and just into what, let's say, the cosmos of where you want to go after that.
Right.
And that was really fascinating. I still have that symbol sitting on my desk today to remind me, and I utilize it. And I do talk about it when I do certain lectures in that, because I think it's something that I don't just need to know. I think everybody could utilize this. So yeah, you never know what's coming, just being in the right place at the right time. But yeah, this place in Sacred Avalon's got so much information and I'd love to just talk for a few minutes about dragons.
Please, one of my favorite subjects. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of mine too. And I'll just begin by saying, oh my gosh, many years ago, my son, who was my oldest son, when he was 12, he wanted a wolf. And I said to him, it's probably not going to happen, a wolf. You know, they're not meant to live with people. But let's go to, the rescue unit and see if we can find something that's kind of close to a wolf, right? Not knowingly. And I get down there and we took a big walk down past the cages, and there's this one dog, and she just sat there so beautiful and regal, part shepherd, part collie, big dog, very fluffy, very bushy. So she comes home with us and we kept her. And what was interesting, we had her probably, I think, 11 years. So my kids grew with her. And she was the best dog. I mean, I still think of her today. She holds a very special place in my heart. Um, and when she was getting ready to pass, and I knew she was, I had a puppy at the time, a little Bichon. And she was just a pup. And this other dog, she was like the mother or grandmother to the dog. And I didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to tell the puppy. So I went into the, unseen field, and I asked if I could see my dog. And when she showed up, she was a dragon,
Okay.
a very majestic, beautiful, beautiful dragon. And now I really wasn't privy to dragons at this time in my life,
Mhm.
but this opened my door, and ever since then, I've just been, I like, just can't get enough of dragons. And going to this area, Sacred Avalon, which is in Glastonbury, and then we go over to Tintagel, which is the West Coast, and Marlborough and such. This is heavily predominant, even Wales, where the Red Dragon and Merlin were, um, a predominant dragon area, influence area. So, uh, yeah, dragons are, there's special information and energy that they bring. And I'll just share that. Well, if you have any special
Oh,
happenings that have occurred for you with dragons, and then we can talk about what their energy is.
absolutely. I have several dragon stories. So my wonderful team and we've been helping to rescue lost souls. That's what we do. We rescue the lost spirits of people who have died and didn't go into the light just in a simple form. However, over the past 5 years, I have expanded my repertoire of who we help. And what started with there's a whole lot of stories about extraterrestrials, and et cetera, that I could go down the path of. But specifically with dragons, I had a client who was under a massive, massive energy attack. And we isolated this dragon that was attacking her and wrapped the dragon up in light. And our MO, when we find something that's being onerous, or I just call them nasty, we
Mhm.
always give them a choice. It's never every being, every sentient and metaphysical being has a choice to choose again. So we
Mhm.
gave this dragon, this was a dragon that we wrapped up that was attacking her, and we gave it a choice to change its ways and to retract all of the evil that it had done. And otherwise, it was going to go with the archangels and the galactics that we work with, and it was going to have to pay for it, reparations for the harm it's done. And so the dragon paused and said, "You mean I can change?" We said, "Sure, it's on you if you want to. But here's the thing: you've got to take back all of the evil you've sent out." So the dragon said, "Well, let me think about it." And it started pulling back the negative it had sent out. This dragon transformed right in our eyes, in our vision, into this magnificent, majestic, colorful dragon, from this dark, nasty, angry dragon into this amazing transformation,
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful dragon. And then said, "I just want to help people now." And
Mhm.
we said, "Well, that's not up to us. We're just the shipping department." That's between you and Archangel Michael and legions. You have to, he's your boss. So he ended up helping us rescue more and more dragons over time.
Oh,
And
wow.
What we found is that the reptilians had been harvesting the dragon eggs and raising them. It's somewhat like a pit bull can be a sweet, sweet dog, or it can be raised to be an attack dog. And that's what they had been doing with the dragons. We rescued eggs upon eggs upon eggs of dragon eggs that were buried in these caves, being nurtured by these evil reptilians. Once they were harvested and put in the hands of these dragons we had rescued, they're now coming out more plentiful, being raised with good intent, and they are helping. And what we've been told is light workers all have an opportunity. You have to earn a dragon. When you're on your mission, you can
Mhm.
earn a dragon. And in the process of earning a dragon, when you have a dragon, they protect you more like a dog is going to protect you. So I love that it was a dog and a dragon, because a dragon, an angel, you have to ask them and they will help. You have to ask and they will help. A dragon, you don't ask. Once you have a dragon that's protecting you, it's like a guardian that is like nobody messes with you. And the dragons can do magical things. They can heal. They're just incredible. And what we've done many, many journeys to inquire and tell us more about the dragons. And the dragons were real. They were what we are calling dinosaurs. The bones that are being uncovered are dragon bones. The Chinese mythos, the mythology that has, oh, they've got 12 of the zodiac, and only one is a mythological being. No, that was a real creature back then,
Mhm.
but they were vilified and they were removed, destroyed. So it was very, very interesting. So we have a very powerful sweet spot in our heart for dragons. And the other big thing that we have come to recently learn, and in the book that I wrote, one of the books that I wrote, The Unquietus, said that when the dinosaurs were, the event that happened and the dinosaurs were extinct, anything under 10 pounds or over 10 pounds couldn't survive. Well, we've now since been told that cats, because a
Mhm.
domesticated cat has slit eyes, a cat in the wild doesn't. Wild cats have round pupils like a human, but the cats, our domesticated cats, have more dragon eyes and they hiss and they're so the cats are manifested of this is the new incarnation of dragons. Isn't that
Mhm.
fun?
Yeah, it is. And my understanding is that the original dragons were not really dragons at all, but that they were serpents
Okay.
long, long ago. And that we've come into this modern image of dragons with the legs and, wings and fire breathing and whatever their capabilities. Are, but that sort of emerged out of what my understanding is the European Middle Ages. And that's what we know dragons today. But it really, like if you go back in time and you look at all the snakes that are really depicted in ancient areas,
Mhm.
I believe they're talking about dragons, like, Quetzalcoatl and then, all the different, there's all kinds of snakes. Actually, Isis wears a snake on her crown. I mean, there's just, and so my wonderment is, I think really those were dragons. It's just my opinion, but it just feels really right to me.
It does, and this caduceus is the
Uh,
model for medical healing, and snakes
exactly.
they shed their skin, they transform. So there's a lot of positive with the snake, but also um, they have been vilified,
Yeah.
partially because of the battle, the unseen battle that our team deals with the reptilians and others of that ilk. But they hijack and twist and turn just like the whole number 13, the 13 months, which we used to have and the ancients still have. There's so much that they have distorted that we're now discovering is it we're remembering and discovering what is real. And one of the things I wanted to share with you that we just did, I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, we did a session with someone from the UK, and we rescued the elementals that were buried. They were hiding. It was almost like the Wizard of Oz. The munchkins were hiding from the evil witch, right? So what they've told us, and we've had many different times where we've rescued elementals, but this was really very special, tied in with your journey to Avalon. They said that the British Isles were one of the most magical of
Mhm.
all. And again, I'm just getting this by asking questions of the unseen. This is nothing that I've read or anything. Columbo's my hero. I ask questions. And what they said is there was so much magic and it was a threat to the shadow side. So the
Mm.
shadow came over the land and they all of these beautiful elementals. We're talking fairies and unicorns and griffins and all of these creatures that we consider extinct or mythological. They all went into hiding to hide from the darkness. And what we were told is we've got to bring the magic back. We
Yeah.
have to bring the magic back to the land. And the children, some of the children who haven't been closed, still see them. So they're there in the ethereal world and we need to embrace them because they're the ones that bring that playfulness back, which is what we have to do in order to shift the vibrational frequency of the planet. Does this make
Yeah.
sense to you?
Totally, totally makes sense. They're they represent wisdom and infinity. Like uh they open that up for everyone that really connects with them. And they also, I think, bring about people's intuitive capabilities. I remember at the time when all this was happening, it was a huge time in my life. I mean, it was my rude awakening because I had built a house on native burial ground, and we got the dog at that time. So she was protecting protecting my whole family until I moved away. And when I moved away, it was her time to be finished with our family, in that respect. But she did tell me she'd return again. So I'm waiting for when she'll return. Uh, at some point she will. But it's about the transformation of what's going on for an individual. So if you get the opportunity, who's listening to this, if you are at all intrigued by dragons, and I think more and more people are these days, it behooves you to find out why.
Mhm.
Because oh, I get goosebumps as I'm saying it, I'm thinking
Me too.
it,
Yeah.
because more than likely you have a dragon,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
and find out about your dragon, because it can tell you so much about yourself. It can open up those intuitive abilities and transformation and the transmutation and all of that. It's a part of your evolution. I know she was for me, my dragon, and for my whole family, actually. So, and now they're all over my house. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
and
I have friends give me dragons too. I have this little guy that's like right here.
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I have dragons, and my son, when he was very little, was very enamored by dragons. He's now approaching 40, but he had dragons all over his room. So he's. I've always called him a wise old soul. So there's a part of him that was connected with dragons, and it is amazing how they bring wisdom, and they're also very very protective.
very,
And
yeah,
there are a lot of people do the remote viewing.
yeah,
And me, I consider if you're going to do that just for your own curiosity, or are you doing that to be of service? There's a difference based on intention, right? And I consider if you're just going to peer in at me, it's like a peeping Tom. Don't be looking in my windows. But my dragons are designed, they spot them and they block them because
mm,
of the work that we do. We have a lot of, we do tend to have people who try to peek in and see what we're doing, and the dragons go, Psst.
right.
Archangel Michael told them, you can't kill, but you can singe tushes.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. So
Very
I
good.
would love to go with you on your tour to Avalon and your sacred Avalon because there's just so much magic in our world, and being with other people who are open to the magic
Yeah,
adds to it. This is part of people talk about the timeline split or that, I think we're in that now. We have people who are on this high vibe awareness frequency. And when you're with others like this, we are sailing and we are in this energy of love and light, to your point, love and light and laughter and just joy and the magic and the miracles that just synchronistically happen versus other people who are dour and dark and woe is me and angry. That vibrational frequency is it's a huge mismatch. It's like we've got two different earths going on right now.
We do. We definitely have more than one Earth. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe many, who knows, whatever
Yeah.
timeline you're in, but the Earth is changing dramatically. And like we're talking about, the dragons are coming full force into our world. We're actually, when we go up into Wales, we're going to, there's a place called Dinas Emrys, and it's where the Red Dragon and Merlin were. And my understanding, and I'll know better when we get there, but my understanding is this is where dragons are buried as well. So can you imagine what's going on there? I can't wait to go and just find out what it's all about and meet more dragons and what can I learn? Because they're definitely at this time in our lives and in the Earth's evolution and in our evolution and everything. I'll just say, because we're evolving, it's not just us that's evolving, but
Absolutely.
it's a ripple effect that is going out for so many. So I work with these codes, these galactic codes that have been given to me from 5 different star groups: the Arcturians, Pleiadians, Sirius, Lyrans, and Andromedans. And
Yeah.
they came together and they put all this information, sort of encapsulated some information, so to speak, in these codes. And so by accessing them, they do different things for different people and they bring about different information. But with that, they're also talking about what's going on with the world and where we're coming into and what this is about and such. And it's an amazing time to be alive, and yet probably a most challenging time to be alive. But I think that the challenges right now are about us. As I hear from them so often, they reiterate to me that it's not the happening that's important, it's what you do with it. That's what's going to, and I get goosebumps, it's what's going to create you as your human, as your soul, what you're going to learn, your evolution. And so there's a lot for us to learn. And some of these places we go to, this magic opens up and we're beyond what we thought we are. I think Pantangeles says it, and I wish I had his quote in front of me, but these magnificent forces open up and you become a better you than you ever thought yourself to be. And honestly, that's really what it is. So yes, you can be in places like I've channeled the Sphinx for years. That's what brought me to Egypt and Isis and Mary Magdalene and a few others. But it's nothing like being there.
Yeah.
When I walked up to that Sphinx,
Yes.
there were no words, none,
Mhm.
just an
Mhm.
amazing experience,
Yes.
And sometimes I think those are the very best. There's just no way to tell people about it. You really have to go and experience it, and at different times in your life, you can go over and over and over again, and you're going to get more rich experience out of it each and every time. So it doesn't matter, if you've been before. We've had
Yeah.
people on our trip. We had 30 people in Egypt with us. Some of them have already been, maybe a couple times even. It was my first experience, but I knew after going, I had to go back again. And we've got some new places that are not your usual places that people go, that our Egyptologist is going to take us.
That's
And, you just, that's that's the beauty. And this is how it all happened in my work, So I've got my work, but I'd come back from different places, living in places like when I lived in Mexico, I worked with the dolphins and I would hold their head in my hands. And there was a transmission of energy between them and people that would come to do the work, right? And so when I'd come back to visit or talk to people and I'd tell them the experiences that I was having, they'd be like, I want to go with you the next time. And so that's how it kind of all developed. Like, come on along. We're a family. Nobody is at the head of all of it. We're all in this community family feeling, that we're sharing with each other. We're learning from each other. So I'll open the door for you as well, Lois, if,
Yeah.
I would love to have you along.
Having traveled so much in my life,
Sure.
I appreciate the beauty and the mystery and the magic of so many places. It's not just the scenery, it's the smells. It's the
Yeah.
sounds, it's the energy feel of different places. And people don't get that. Yes, you can watch a movie about it, you can read books. There's something special about being in different places and just being there, the observer, and being immersed in other cultures. You learn so much about the commonality and the uniqueness of each different type of different culture. It's so precious versus people who have never left their backyard. They just have no concept of the immensity and the magic of the world.
I know, and missing out so much because yes, like you can go one place and then not too far away you can go to another place and it's a whole other experience. Like we're going to England, okay, and we're going to do different things there and different areas of it hold different experiences like the serpent stones, and then we're going to go to Tintagel, which is on west coast, and that's where Merlin's cave is, and we're going to do a deep dive in with Merlin, right? And so there's lots of places, but then we're going to go up through Wales, and there's a place called Bryn Celyn Ddu, okay, and I hope I say it right, but this is a 4,000-year-old burial site that's linked to mysterious ancient sorcerers.
Mm,
I want to go here. What have you got to share for the time now? What can we bring forward
right.
to enhance our evolution and our ascension? I mean, so, and the Druids, they were there all throughout this area, and they practiced their wisdom and information. And so, I remember leaning up against one of the serpent stones and the energy that came from it was incredible. And so being in these places that hold the information, like when we were in Egypt, and I put my hand on one of the hieroglyphs, and I kind of knew this before, but I put my hand on one of the hieroglyphs, and what I was told was it's not so much in the carving of the hieroglyph, it's held within the structure, the energy that's there. It was impressed upon,
Sure.
imprinted there.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, this is what we want to open to, because what does this have to do with our current life? This is all what it's about, our current life and where we're moving into. And super exciting.
It is exciting. So you've got the trip to the sacred Avalon. That's in July.
July.
And then when are you going back to Egypt?
October. Yeah.
October.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Trying to choose. That would be hard. And then I have my whole team. They're like, we want to go together because they're magical in and of themselves. But to be able to go together with this team and partner with other people of like energy would be truly amazing. So we're going to have to manifest the wherewithal to make that happen.
Well, we will manifest
Yes,
that.
we
And
will.
it starts with our desire
Yeah.
and our intention. And then, but what also comes out of that is we have to take action,
Yeah.
right? So often when I give lectures, I often tell people, we talk about this manifestation, and the desire and the want. And where I think it's really important is coming out of your third dimension, go into a deep, deep dive into a meditation. Come out of 3D, go in beyond that, go into the place where you can really begin to manifest in the quantum. Even if you don't know how to get to the quantum, just ask to be in the quantum so that you can manifest, because that's the realm of where everything is possible and there's probability in there. And so that's where you want to go, not put your hand out and say, oh, I wish for this. It's not going to happen so much like that. So go into the energy when your frequency is different, where your intention comes alive, where you connect with your soul and your high self, and you're in that energy. And and then you ask for it. And then when you're done, and you give thanks for the opportunity to manifest it, then you've got to take action.
Sure.
So if it's something that you want, go search, or talk to people about it, or put it in a physical form so
Absolutely.
that you can really create it, you know. It's
Yeah.
kind of like working the mold, you know, or painting a painting, you know. It becomes a something, right, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
We'll
thank
just
you for that.
have to do that, Lois.
We will make this happen. We've been talking about it for a while now, and the biggest challenge is choosing which one. Do we go to Hawaii? Do we go, there's just so many beautiful places, but we'll just have to pick one a year and do it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds good. It sounds really
Yes.
good, and
Uh, I would
I'm
love to
sure we
you,
will.
join you on your journeys. It really sounds like you are on a magical mission. So thank you for all you do. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
leading others on this quest, because we really need to support the light workers, the people who are drawn to this. And I'm sure that just being there, going on these tours elevates and shifts them so that they come back somewhat ethereally changed, so that they can then send out waves of change to other people.
Oh, absolutely.
It's exponential always.
Always. I ask people because, one, I want to know is how can I make each trip better?
Yeah.
That's always important. So I always ask the people that are on the trip. And but when I hear people say, this has changed my life,
Mhm.
this has really changed my life. When I hear that, success, I feel success, like that's exactly what was to happen. You can feel the transformation in your life. And then we've had gatherings since, going on different trips, and we meet up on Zoom, you know, maybe a month, 2 months later, just to gather, because we're a family still,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Especially when you
we've
travel
shared
together like
so
that.
much life, and yeah, experience, and we're talking about it. We're still feeling it, you know. We don't want that to go away. And so, you know, people will talk about how their life has changed as a result of, and you know, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's they're well worth going on. Definitely.
How many days or weeks do you typically go on your journeys?
It depends where we go. You know, when we went to Mount Shasta, I think we were there 4 days. It, you know, it doesn't take a long time to get up into the portals and that. Um, and that was a short trip. Sedona's on the shorter side, but when you're starting to travel a very long distance, you
Right.
want to make it really worth your while.
Absolutely.
And so we go to Egypt. It's usually 2 weeks,
Okay.
but 2 weeks goes by like you're, you know, no matter what trip you're on, you're in a bubble, right? You're
Yeah.
in the bubble of energy, and you're, even though you're out and about, you're still in a bubble. And then when you come home, it's like, how do you integrate it all? And it takes a while. So the longer the trip is, I think sometimes a little more integration is necessary. And this trip too will only be gone 8 days to Sacred Avalon, but not that I've jam-packed it. I've got some nice flow with it. Got a little bit of shopping in there. We want to get some trinkets to bring home, some time for journaling, so that I think what's super important when you go on a trip and you're going to really open yourself to all of the energy, I think it's important for processing. So you don't want to go from this to this to this to this and not have that time to journal, to process, to really be in it, you know? I think that's important. And I learn it more and more as time goes on. And so I try to open it up and give it what it needs, the time for us all to be having that experience the richest way.
I agree. When I went to Egypt, this was back in the 70s, I went on a 2-week Mediterranean cruise, and it was one day at port sightseeing, another day at sea, just relaxing and regrouping. And it was fabulous because we left out of Genoa and went across to Egypt, went to Israel, Turkey, Greece, Cyprus, all the different islands. And it was amazing. One thing that I did a lot of photographs, but I really wish that I had journaled all of my travels. That's one of my biggest regrets, that I didn't capture my thoughts at the time, because that
Mhm.
would be, I agree with you, capturing your thoughts, the experiences. These are all just memories that are triggered by the photographs, but I truly wish that I had um, at least scribed a little bit back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't, when you're in the experience, it's precious,
Yes.
and you can't sometimes grab that completely back again after you're out of it. It's in the moment, right? So when kind of come away from it, like say you're in a temple or you're in a forest or whatever your experience is, right? You want to catch that, right around that time. Even if you're on a bus or a coach, driving, you still can write about it. And I've learned to do that. Where was I? What was I experiencing? What were my takeaways in that moment? I've learned to bring little spiral notebook, little
Mhm.
pad, and I tell everybody to do that because you can't grab that back again. It's like coming out of a dream or out of sleep, like what was that dream? I don't remember it exactly. That's how it is for us, because you're in your other timeline, that other density or dimension.
You're in a dream state. Yes, absolutely. How
Yeah.
magical. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for sharing time with us. And we will get this posted out there, and hopefully people will hear what you're doing and be able to, maybe I'll meet some new people with you on one of these journeys someday.
Oh, that would be lovely. And thank you so much, Lois, for having me on today. It's been fun talking about the magic that happens, and sharing that with others. And hopefully that tickles someone to step in and experience their own magic. So thanks
That's
again.
exactly, our guides keep saying, you must bring the magic and miracles back. That's part of our mission. So thank you. We're on that same vibrational wavelength. So thank you
Thank you.
for your magic.
Thanks.
Until next time, everyone, share this with people that you think might enjoy, and look up, stay positive, and bring the light to someone today. God bless.